Welcome to drillingcontractor.org. I'm Alex Indris, and joining me today is Philippe Hervé. He's VP Solutions with Spark Cognition, and today we're talking about predictive maintenance in the drilling industry. Philippe, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me here today. Thank you very much.
So first, can you tell us what is the value of predictive maintenance, and how is the industry's use of predictive maintenance evolving?
So the value is actually fairly simple. It's a pure return on investment. You put a little bit of money into predictive analytics and you reduce your maintenance cost very significantly. So that is a visible part of the value. But there's another value which is much more difficult to measure, which is improvement on the safety. With predictive analytics, you can really improve your safety aspect as you are preventing big accidents from happening. So you reducing the risk on your assets, on your people. If I look at the history of predictive analytics, about 20 years ago, predictive analytics could tell you 6 months ago you possibly maybe could have done that. About 10 years ago it was more like 6 months ago you should have done that. Today, with the advance in hardware and software, we can give you real-time answer immediately on very large amount of data. And I think that's what has really made a big difference. So today we can predict the life of an asset using predictive analytics, but more importantly, we can, looking into the future, we're going to be able to use those predictive maintenance on when is a particular asset going to fail and link that to other information which is available to a corporation. For example, if we know what's going to fail, we can immediately query all the unstructured maintenance manual and come up with a maintenance procedure for the technician that we give it. This is what you need to do. Instead of him having to go and do 600 steps, this is really what needs to be done right now on that rig. Same thing, if you know what's going to fail, you can link this to the ERP system of the corporation and have the proper spare part be flown to the rig for the maintenance. So instead of having all the rig carrying all the spare parts, you can have all the spare parts centralized and just carry them to the right rig based on upcoming maintenance, which is scheduled based on an upcoming failure. So this is some of the things we are doing with predictive maintenance, but really predictive maintenance is a subset of predictive analytics. And with predictive analytics, we do multiple things. And if you look at a typical rig today, something stops working. Is it because you have been hacked and cybersecurity is used as a weapon more and more today? So is your top drive misbehaving because somebody took control of it? Is it because your equipment is not working properly? This is where predictive maintenance comes in. And if you know you're not being attacked because you're well protected with predictive analytics, you know that your equipment is working properly with predictive analytics again and cognitive analytics. Then now you know you have a drilling dysfunction and you can actually have the artificial intelligence provide you with recommendations on which new drilling set point you need to use to mitigate the drilling dysfunction. So this is where we were going and what we can do is predictive analytics and predictive maintenance.
What are the current barriers to more widespread use of predictive maintenance and predictive analytics in the drilling industry?
So we look at what's happening outside of the industry. For example, the London Stock Exchange is using our technology for cybersecurity. Many of the US leading banks are using our technology. The largest manufacturer of a pump for the oil and gas industry is using our predictive maintenance solution for all their pumps. That's this FlowServe. If you look at another industry which is important, the wind turbine industry, 40% of the operators are using our technology for predictive analytics. So it is really taking the world by storm. But in oil and gas, we are very timid. And I'm 30 years in oil and gas, so I know we are very timid. We progress slowly. There is some good reason for it. First of all, accidents are dangerous, so we try to be on the conservative side and just wait and see a little bit. And with predictive analytics, typically the way it's been done so far is it's a big project. You need to take a lot of data, a lot of sensors, and so it's a bit complicated to get engaged onto that road path. And we have come up with a technology where we can make small steps. We look at small problem and make it bigger and bigger. So what we are bringing is really making a big difference right now. And the second thing is when you look at artificial intelligence, and cognitive analytics, you need to train the data. It's called training the data in order to build a proper model. Typically, you need to have about 10, 15 failure events to train the model so you can predict future failures. And we are doing a very good job at making sure equipment doesn't fail, because failures are expensive. So we don't typically have 15 failures. And if we have 15 failures, if in some cases you manage to get 15 failures, then we do so much maintenance, we replace so many things that it's often very hard to find out exactly what failed, because we replace so many things. So typically, artificial intelligence approach, cognitive analytic approach, have not been very successful at looking at models for our particular solutions. What we have come up with our automated model builder with a way to take a small step approach and to be able to recognize failure trends even when there is no failure. We have some data sets where we're able to build correct models that are predicting failure when we had no failure to work with, to start with. So what we are bringing is a very big revolution. That's why we are growing so quickly in other industry, and we now want to replicate this in oil and gas.
How can cognitive analytics and machine learning help to enable more predictive maintenance in the drilling industry?
I'm an engineer at heart, and to me, condition-based monitoring was the way to go. I mean, you have a rig you want to maintain, you have gearbox, you have hydraulic system. So if you want to know when it's going to fail, you put sensors on all these little components that you want to know when they're failing. The problem with this is you need to put a lot of sensors. That is a big project approach, and that is why we are a bit slow at entering the market. What we have come up at Spark Cognition with is looking at the data and using the data as a sensor. Let me put some example into this. Whenever your top drive is starting, stopping, turning, starting to fail, there are some small repercussions which are occurring on the generators down in the engine room. When the shell shaker behaves one way or another, there are some repercussions on the mud pump. When you look at the rig as a complete system, there is a lot of crosstalk noise from one system into another. If you look at the big data space and look at all of this data, what we have been able to do is remove all the clutter and focus on all these little big noise, if you want, and extract the value from this data in order to bring to the surface what is going to be useful for predicting an upcoming failure or improving the maintenance. That's what we have been able to do, and so really the future is in artificial intelligence, and the future is here already.
Well, Philippe, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
And thank you, viewers, for joining us today at drillingcontractor.org.